Welcome to the I-80 Club. Josh and a reading Jack Mitchell with you. Great college football coaches.
You've caught me catching up on one of my passions.
Reading coffee table books like a normal book.
Reading.
And
college football coaching.
Of course.
Studying the best. Like Bo Schembechler.
Oh,
right?
like Bo Schembechler.
Like Bear Bryant.
Yeah,
like
who else is on there?
Joe Paterno.
I see Newt Rockney.
One of the old Newt Rockney. And Bill Walsh after he had gained some weight.
Wait, why is Bill Walsh
I don't know. I don't
great
think
college football? God,
who is that?
Oh no, that's the guy from USC, the guy that they had a lot of success with.
Robinson? John Robinson?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Look who's on the back. Interesting.
Is it Dr. Tom squinting in the sun?
This, I believe, is Frank Solich. This is cool. So that's Frank Solich. This looks like John Lithgow.
Congrats. Woody Hayes.
John Lithgow. Woody Hayes.
He's just about to punch somebody in the face.
This is George's. This is
okay. Congratulations.
That's Mark Richt.
John McKay. Thank you, Tony, in the YouTube chat. John McKay. That's who that was.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway,
welcome in, everybody.
Catching up on all of them. It's very nice.
Yeah. Busy morning for you, Jack, reading your books.
Just kind of kicking back, reading a few I like the coffee table books because of the pictures. That helps a lot. Nice. So I just like to hammer a few coffee table books every morning, and have a cold beverage. Or
a warm one if you're me.
Speaking of which,
pop it open.
It's game day. It's game day. The light changes from yellow to red on game day. Wee.
Is that Star Wars or is that a horror movie?
Who ordered the code red?
Nice.
I did.
Jack, it's good to be here. I don't know what it looks like in Lincoln. In Omaha, it looks like it's fall outside. I took Banks for a walk this morning.
Oh, really?
It felt like it's fall. It's gray. You can see leaves everywhere, and there's a chill in the air. So it very much feels like fall has arrived.
I got to be honest. I slept in so much today. I don't even really know I don't think I looked out a window yet. I was in a hurry. I was running late.
Wow.
I'm never usually, me, because typically I'm texting you at like 5:30 on Saturday mornings, but
with takes. Yeah. Hey, what about this topic? Hey, what about this topic? Hey, what about this topic?
It's when I get a lot of stuff done. Oh no, I went into live.
What are you doing? You're in the wrong channel, Jack.
Where's the live? Where is there a live live show chat somewhere?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
Wow, it's only right above where you are, you old man.
This thing is confusing.
Jack's falling apart. Falling apart. I like Adam posts a GIF from Dodgeball. I like to break a mental sweat too.
That's a good
classic movie. What a classic movie.
I like both. I like that. That's a perfect.
Well, welcome in. This is Saturday Morning Coffee. He's Jack. I'm Josh. We do this each and every week. We used to do it at 9:30. Now we do it at 9 o'clock. We think that fits better with our Saturday mornings as we get ready for a game day. So thanks everybody for joining us. We would love a like and a subscribe. Even if you're a Discord member, even if you're a Patreon, type some things in the comments section because it helps for the algorithm. Let us know what you're eating for breakfast this morning in the chat, the YouTube chat.
Or what you're making for the game.
What you're making for the game.
I didn't get anything on the smoker today. Sad. Last week I did the whole, I just had the pork butt. That was really good. But no, I've been too busy. I haven't had a chance. If I do something, it'll have to be something that takes a shorter amount of time, like wings or something like that. But
we have a great day planned for everybody. Food aside, here in the I-80 Club, we'll be with you for the next hour or so, previewing the game, previewing the slate of the games around the country this weekend. It's a great Saturday for football. It sucks that the games that I'm most interested in are on at 2:30. You monsters!
This would be what a great day for an 11 a.m. game. Well, you know what though? I don't like 11 a.m. games either.
Well, we got a couple ranked ones. Well, spoiler alert, but we got multiple ranked games at 11 a.m.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. I got to make my picks. I haven't made my picks yet, Josh. Got to make my picks.
I'm 0-1 on the weekend so far. My pick 'em because I picked the Eagles and they famously lost on Thursday.
Wow, typical Eagles lover once again.
I do what I can. Man. Yeah. So we got all that stuff coming up. We'll be with you later tonight for After Nebraska Football. We will start at 8 o'clock. We'll be on for about 90 minutes. Jack, finally, I think we said this twice this year. A normal Saturday of shows for you and me. It's been such a weird year. We've been all over the place, bouncing around. A normal, nice 9 a.m., 8 p.m. We're very excited to be here for you.
Yes, exactly. Let's do it. Let's do it. Regular day of football, regular day of shows. We're in October. Yeah. We have a game where we don't quite know how it's going to go, right?
Correct.
People feel generally positive, I think.
You seemed pessimistic on unsportsmanlike conduct yesterday.
Well, it's just like, again, it's when Maryland's biggest strength matches up with Nebraska's biggest weakness. Everything else might favor Nebraska, but their very biggest strength matches up with Nebraska's very biggest weakness.
The thing that we spent the majority of last week's watch party talking about.
That is certainly. Now, this is a good test, and we'll see who gets the Bod.Coach Coach of the Week. I think this is an underrated good test for Dana Holgorsen to say, okay, the pass rush issues, the offensive line's inability, whoever the blame is, the pressure on Dylan is for real on this team. It's time to turn the page a little bit from trying to fix it with personnel, right? And try, and of course you still do those things, and you still obviously coach scheme. You have Raiola figure out how to get them to work on their footwork or whatever. But I think going into this game, it's the first time maybe that Holgorsen realizes, okay, this isn't going away. This is something we have got to scheme around the entirety of the game. We have got to make this into part of the chess game, right? We've got to, you need to turn what they do as a strength into a weakness. And that is the sign of a great offensive coordinator, in my opinion. If right off the bat, he takes advantage of their aggressiveness and their success and them licking their chops on the pass rush.
Get some screens, get some quick releases. Yeah, those types of plays.
Screens, quick slant. Remember the Cincinnati game? You remember the Cincinnati game? How many quick passes there were in that game?
There were a lot. And for sure.
There were some people, so sort of me, who complained about it. That it was just all these low risk passes, but it was all the guys kind of sitting down in the middle of the field and just getting wide open, quick slants. Where we haven't really seen those since, it feels like. That kind of offense, but that seems like something that might be very useful right now.
Yeah, especially against this team and what they are doing. We've talked about Maryland a lot across our various jobs over the course of the last few days, Jack. I don't know how much we've done it in here because we spent the majority of Wednesday talking about will Matt Rule go to Penn State if that job opens up. But for those who have not done a deep dive into Maryland football, they do get a lot of sacks. They had a lot of interceptions in the opener, which is very much inflating the overall interception numbers for them on the season. Here's the thing, Jack, that I have really noticed when looking at them, and we had on one of their beat writers yesterday. Each of the last two games, and they're 1-1 in those. A few weeks ago, they beat Wisconsin. They ran them off the field in Madison. And then last week, they were up 20-0 on Washington before they eventually melted down and lost. They had real short fields early because of, I think in the Wisconsin game, it was a blocked punt. And then last week, it was an interception that they returned down to the 4-yard line. And so they were able to turn the quick change short fields into early touchdowns. And so I asked the guy, I said, if they don't do that, is that a concern? And he said yes. This team putting together, and I don't mean to go away from the thing you already brought up, but putting together long extended drives for Maryland with a freshman quarterback, especially, Jack, it's not always the easiest thing to do to put together a 12, 13 play drive where you're always converting, you're always picking up yards, because that is going to lead to more opportunities to make mistakes as well. So Nebraska, to go back to the offense, don't do anything dumb and give them short fields and an opportunity
because
to get
of the
early
pressure.
Touchdown. Correct.
Correct. And we talked about this yesterday too. Dylan Raiola, to his credit, has not. I don't think he's had any fumbles that have been lost. Like a strip sack type situation, given all the time he's been sacked. So he's protected the ball well. But that's the type of situation you're talking about that could happen, right? Lots of pressure, or making a bad pass and giving up a pick six or something like that.
100%. 100%. And that's what they've done at the beginning of each of the last two games is Maryland has gotten a short field and they've been able to go up. And, certainly in the Wisconsin game, Wisconsin's a bad football team. But it really helped them get off to a nice start against Washington a week ago.
Yes. And Wisconsin, here's the thing. When they play, it's so hard to know what to do with that Wisconsin game because that's
100%.
been their most impressive one. But I think Wisconsin tried all of their quarterbacks in this game. One of them wasn't 100%. One of them's a Maryland transfer.
Yeah.
What I like their quarterback.
They're not a good football team.
Right. Right. But like their quarterback play, especially in that game, was subpar. And I think that probably inflated sack numbers to some degree with that one. But again, Nebraska has no room to
yeah,
say,
they beat up on a couple teams as well. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and they've certainly given up sacks. But back to my original point is like, this is what you get Holgorsen for, I think. You don't get Holgorsen. Listen, you don't get Holgorsen because you've got the perfect offense. If you got the perfect offense, you or I can call plays for him.
Mm-hmm.
You get a great offensive coordinator to play chess, knowing what the pieces are. And I think we started to see that a little bit in the fourth quarter of the game against Michigan State. I think the touchdown to Isaiah Hunter was exactly what that was, right? It was capitalizing on the pressure that they did start to throw a couple other screens in that game, if I recall, as well. They popped the running game in there as a surprise. He tried a quarterback draw at one point earlier in the game, which I've got no problem with.
It got some yards.
But, I mean, and Holgorsen knows obviously way, way, way better than I could. But what are we talking about? Screens, draws, getting Dylan Raiola out on rollouts, using the running game in different ways, using jet sweeps, getting Ja'Cory Barney the ball as a running back, essentially starting to have the guys look at horizontal motion, right? That kind of stuff. Start confusing them a little bit, right? I mean, don't make it just about a physical battle between Gunnar Gatula and the defensive end.
Yeah, get a little window dressing action.
And these are freshmen. And for Maryland, these guys, their two best guys are freshmen, which is unbelievably impressive, first of all.
It very much is. Yeah, it's like you give them praise, but you figure
and their quarterback is a freshman. Like, what the hell did they do? I mean, Loxley really hit home runs in this recruiting cycle. Dude, their three best players are true freshmen.
Yeah, not to do like too big of a picture conversation, because this is more of an off-season like preview, the program type stuff, but like, remember, man, they had a rough year last year. There was a lot of talk about locker room and what was going on with money and how that seemed to be a dividing thing amongst the players. And so I remember, Jack, as we were doing our preseason prep on them, thinking, all right, well, they're not going to have a good year and they're probably going to take a step back. And like, look, I guess on paper that's still a possibility because October Maryland does exist and all, and they've already gotten off to a 0-1 start in that regard. But these young players that they were able to get, Kirshner, who's a Maryland grad, him and I talked about that on Thursday's football show, where he said, like, I can't believe that they have these guys. I can't believe he was talking about the defensive players in particular, those linemen and the type of pass rush. And it'll probably be hard to keep them. But, I mean, shout out to Loxley for doing it off of that season is incredibly impressive.
One of the was his name Sidney Stewart? Is it?
Sidney Stewart. He's the guy who got kicked out last week.
Yes, and by the way, we can talk about that more. He's from the state of Maryland, right? Yeah. The quarterback is from the state of Maryland, and I think the other defensive freshman is from Pennsylvania. So they're all from kind of the geographic. They weren't going into Texas and Florida and California and Ohio to get these guys, right?
Correct.
They were all Northeast
They were able to
guys,
keep them home. Yeah,
which helped as well with it. But I don't know. Yeah, I have a hard. I get myself thinking one way about Maryland, and then I'll say, well, but their offense wasn't that good. That Wisconsin team was a wounded animal, so on and so forth. But then, on the other hand, they really should have beat Washington in that game.
They should have.
Between the ejection that we're talking about, and frankly, I remember we were sitting here watching the Michigan State game, and I turned and I was like, I looked and saw the score right before halftime, and I was like, oh my gosh, Maryland's going to be ranked next week. Mm-hmm. Maryland's going to be like the talk of college football. That might be a little exaggeration, but they would have been
like like a little like a under the radar kind of like, whoa, have you seen what Maryland's doing?
And I'm not sure enough that second half should change that all that much of Maryland, Washington, right? And then we see Washington, they did the same exact thing last night against Rutgers, where they just They played
horrible,
with their food,
slow starts.
Played their food for an entire half, and then blew them out. Basically,
yeah. God, they get a quick field goal. Washington does at the very end of the first half last night, and then in the second half, they go right down the field and they started putting up a lot of points. Brendan asks, what are the strengths and weaknesses of Maryland? So Maryland, as we've talked about,
the strength. Yeah.
The strength lies on the defensive side of the ball. Now, some of the numbers are inflated because of the level of competition that they have played, but it's like that for most teams this time of year, right? Like now that we're going to start seeing some real, like, okay, what is real, what's not real in terms of what these teams are able to do. It's easy, though, to point to the weaknesses. First of all, Jack, it's not that they're bad at running the football. They don't want to run the football. But because they don't want to run the football, they are indeed bad at running the football. Surprisingly, we talked a few weeks ago, Jack, ahead of the Michigan game about Bryce Underwood, and we were waiting for them to use his feet, and they did in the week before the Nebraska game, and then we saw Underwood have a nice touchdown run against the Huskers as well. He had a really solid game on the ground. Malik Washington, he is mobile, but he is not the traditional – he's certainly not what I would call a dual threat quarterback.
No.
He is just a quarterback who can move, but – look at what he does. He does not run the ball. At times, Jack, I think to his detriment, where he just stays in the pocket, almost like he's proving a point of, I am not going to run if my first read is not there.
Right.
And that could end up being to Nebraska's favor today.
I watched him a little bit, and people are going to say, okay, well, he's a young freshman, frankly, African-American quarterback, and everyone's going to be like, oh, this guy's a runner. No.
Bingo.
He's 6'5", 230. Do you know what he is? You know who he is? He's Daniel Jones. That's who. That's the comp. It's not Michael Vick. It's more like Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Who actually and Daniel Jones is having the best year of his life. So
yes,
that would be a better comp a year ago maybe. But,
Giants Daniel Jones.
But he's bigger than Dylan Raiola. Okay, you're not going to say that he weighs more than Dylan Raiola. He's huge. He's incredibly big. He's size wise, he's like Peyton Manning size wise.
Yeah.
So this is
and a little thicker.
Right. He is a proto. Well, I looked that he was one of the comps that came up for a quarterback. That was what he's listed at on the roster,
interesting.
Which is 6'5", 230.
Yeah.
Okay?
The other thing about him
6'5", 233. Yeah.
So a couple things. He is not always the most accurate. I went and watched the entire game against Washington, and Jack, there were a lot of throws that they completed, but they were, off target in terms of where the receivers were grabbing them from. This receiving core also has the most drops in the entire country. They drop a lot of passes. And
Come on, Rain.
That's something to pay attention to. And so I watched some of the Wisconsin game this week, and as I just mentioned, I watched all of the Washington game. It was interesting how different they were offensively. The Wisconsin game, they hit multiple big plays through the air. And so you look at Washington's numbers at the end, and it's kind of inflated. It's like, wow, he had a nice day passing. But a lot of that was on 2 throws. Last week, it was a ton of stuff short. And so he ended up with close to 50 attempts, and it was like 4.5 yards an attempt. I mean, it wasn't even a good day running if that would have been rushing numbers, let alone yards per attempt numbers. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they try to pass, Jack. We never talk about betting on this show or props or anything. I could not believe when I saw that the passing prop for Washington is 230.5 passing yards. I was like,
Rutgers,
are you
mean?
No, for today. Washington.
Malik.
I know.
Malik
That's
Washington.
been confusing me this week, too. Malik Washington's prop for passing yards is 230.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's wait a sec. Against this pass defense?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And the other thing about him is, he's obvious. You don't become a 5-star with not being a good passer and having a good arm, but he's not. I mean, he's kind of a little bit like Raiola's got a deep arm, but he doesn't use it a bunch. I mean, when I read a little bit more about Washington, the thought is his ability to put zip on the ball for short to mid-range passes more than having an amazing deep ball. And they haven't thrown a ton of that either. Again, their pass efficiency, 95th in the nation, passing offense, 48th in the nation, scoring offense, 61st. And that helps when they've had short fields as well. But their rushing offense, you think Nebraska's rushing offense isn't great right now, besides Emmett Johnson? Maryland isn't even getting 100 yards a game rushing as a team. Team.
Yeah. So you have that, and so this, Jack. I mean, I'm going to make it really simple. The game is going to come down to when Nebraska has the football. Can they keep
100%.
Dylan Raiola upright? Can they protect him? And if so, I think that this is a good matchup for Nebraska's defense. Like, all the concerns about the run defense that Nebraska has, well, we're not going to see a whole lot of that from Maryland, as you just pointed out. It's like that seems to be a spot where Nebraska could really make some hay today. Make some hay today.
But, yeah, 4th in the nation in sacks, Maryland is. 4th in the nation in sacks. Now, here's the other thing. And this wasn't even the case against Michigan State, but do you know the sweet, sweet music to my ears when I look at the statistical matchups between Nebraska and Maryland is every special teams category.
There we go,
and
baby.
It's not, I mean, net punting, well, that's a bad one. Punt returns 17. Net punting went down because of the wind. Punt returns, though, Nebraska 17, Maryland 105. Kickoff returns, Nebraska 60, Maryland 124. Like it's blocked punts. I mean, you name it, right?
Yep.
Nebraska has got if you were doing do you still do your checkboard before the games?
No, we don't. We haven't done that this year. No,
because it's a no-brainer on this one. Can you believe it?
I know.
And like Michigan State, at least when Nebraska played Michigan State, they had a good punter. They had good net punting. Like it looked like you could have argued it was a draw in what they'd done before the season on special teams between Nebraska and Michigan State. Not at all. Maryland's missed 2 field goals. Nebraska's missed 2 field goals too, but it's Nebraska's got a huge check mark there. What a feeling.
I know. Isn't it wild now?
They've got to actually do it. They've got to actually do it, but man.
Yeah. Every time you and I get ready to talk about one of these games, Jack, it is nuts to see how different it is compared to the last X amount of years. I don't know how far we have to go back to figure this out, but it is wild just how our conversation has changed over the course of the last few years in regards to, hey, so Nebraska, what are they going to be able to do in terms of special teams? Like it is a huge positive. And I'll say this, Sipple in his in Tunnel Talk yesterday, he mentioned that he is hearing from people in the program that they're confident that they could get a kickoff return for a touchdown today. And for the record, they've been talking this type of stuff about various matchups this year. Like going into last week, there was some confidence that they were going to be able to have a punt return for a touchdown. Like that, whatever.
They will.
But Jack, they're doing it for individual matchups. That's what's interesting is
that's
they
what
are
a special teams player. This is what I said when I said this sort of tongue in cheek. It doesn't seem like that hard of a job to be a special teams coach, but you should be able to find some schematic things if you have the whole offseason to figure out what a team does. This is what we're going to do against this team. This is what we're going to do against this team. These are their weaknesses, right?
Yep.
That is what they should have been doing all along. I love that I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
But it should have been
because they must be seeing something with because just like last week, and look, they did have a punt return for a touchdown. It got called back, but they also had another one for 50 yards or whatever, 30 yards, whatever it was. So like they're identifying something with what Maryland's kickoff return team is doing that they feel confident that they can score.
If little Kenneth, and I say that tongue in cheek because I used to see him in Morley Elementary School, Kenneth Williams takes a kickback because I think it's him and Mosey. If little Kenneth, who was such a little kid, runs a kickoff back, that would be awesome because I knew him in elementary school. But that's great. Yeah, Josh, it's like there's a scenario that is not that far-fetched where we look back a week from today, the day after the Minnesota game, and we say, well, Nebraska just won all 3 of those games because of having they would not have won it, but they did because of having superior special teams to the other team. Yeah. And because if that happens, they win rather than lose 3 of them, or even if it was 2, it changed everything about the program. It changed because there is certainly an argument out there that Nebraska, if Michigan State outplays Nebraska in special teams, to the tune that Nebraska did to them last week, Nebraska still loses that game, even though the statistics probably favor Nebraska otherwise. That argument is certainly there, right? The typical groin kick game. That could be the case today too, where for Nebraska, where again, they do that. Like, it's just, it's crazy. This may end up being, we talked about how important it was. And we always had this thing that we came back and said, well, I think it's worth a win or 2 a year. And I think we believe that. Like,
we're seeing
it could be worth 3 wins in a row here.
We're seeing it. It's and Husker for MU. Isn't it nice to have a baseline competence in the program? It really is, because Jack, what you just said is exactly where my mind was going. Is we have been watching these games, especially the last few years, and said, if they had competent special teams, would it be worth an extra win? And then we're like, but what if they were actually good on special teams? They have flown past competence and very much into the good territory. Like, dude, every time I look at the Ja'Cory Barney return numbers, it's really wild. It is really wild what is happening already, and that's just the return game. Let alone they can snap the ball and hold the ball properly on field goals and on extra points. Archie struggled at first with the win last week, but it seemed like his final 2 punts, he had a much better handle on everything and how that was going. So it's Ekeler. Ekeler has been, dude, I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this. Because around here, the joke is always, well, why don't they hire Grant Windstrom and Jason Peters to coach the defensive line? Like, I've been hearing that crap for 2 decades. Ekeler was that name, right, when it was like, they need to hire Ekeler. And I know a lot of people pushed back originally because it was like, are you serious? Like, we're going to hire the former Nebraska coach just because you want a Nebraska guy? And Rule, I think, kind of felt that way too. As Will Compton's trying to say, you should hire Mike Ekeler. But then you look at what he's doing, and it made all the sense in the world. And I thought he would have an impact, and by the time the season arrived, I thought he would have a really big impact. But, Jack, even I think I'm a little surprised that they have been able to be this good so quickly.
And as we talked about on Wednesday, a big part of it, and I'm sure Ekeler plays into this, but I know he plays into it with Archie, but they hit on the 4 most important personnel spots in special teams: punter, kicker, snapper, and punt returner. And Ja'Cory was already here, so Ekeler had nothing to do with that. Although, did Ja'Cory even return punts last year?
He did. He didn't have – it was a lot of fair catches, though.
Okay. Well, and that probably had to do with the fact that he had dudes in his face.
Yes, every single time.
But on punter, kicker, and snapper – he got, and Ekeler didn't, I don't think the snapper got here before Ekeler was here. He got here right before the bowl game. So that plays into all of it too. But of course, Archie's here because Ekeler wanted, because remember they had that punter from Washington and then he left because Ekeler wanted Archie. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And
yeah,
so
he said he was, I don't remember the exact answer, but it was like a sly answer. Like, yeah, I mean, he was going to come with me to Tennessee. You know, he had him like stashed away and he was going to try to get him to Tennessee.
No, but everything, I mean, not to take away from anything you said, but again, finding the right people in the right positions, scheming, right? Looking at what everybody else is doing, getting the right guys in there, guys like Jameer Khan and Carter Nelson, right, being out there and making plays who are really good. They're going to be really good on offense and defense down the road. But it's great. It is so great because when you're in the middle on these games, that decides it. It's so true. It is so unbelievably true. And when after having seen this, watching Nebraska, and maybe everybody puts plenty into it, but like I don't think you can put enough attention into special teams and resources.
Could not agree more.
Practice time and recruiting, all of these things. I don't think you can put enough into it.
Jack, in a way, like special teams is like this barometer that I kind of use to show if like you're a serious football program or not, or a franchise in the NFL or not. Like I think teams that have a good approach to special teams, maybe I'm like reading into it too much. I just think that they're a little extra detailed. They have a little bit more detail to pay attention to. And like the two reasons I think of that are Urban Meyer was a special teams guy, and he, that was something he always focused on at Florida and Ohio State. And Bill Belichick was a special teams guy as well. And so it's like, okay, when Belichick not anymore, but when two of the most successful coaches, of my lifetime, when they have the extra oomph that are attached to special teams, I take a step back and say, well, why isn't everybody else doing that as well?
Frank Beamer. I mean, Virginia Tech.
Frank Beamer. Excellent point. Yes. Yeah, for sure. Big Red Easy, Jack. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, take those. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, this is something that you mentioned on the show yesterday when you were on with Bishop and I. Big Red Easy, right? Seems like they haven't used Barney on many end-arounds this year. Yeah, you're wanting
2 carries. He has 2 carries this year, I believe.
Yeah. I wonder why that is. Because he was carrying the ball a lot last year.
Josh, I have no idea. He has got. and he had what 4 or 5 catches last week. Obviously, he's being used. I think this offense is not featuring him enough.
Yeah, you said on the show, and John said on the show yesterday, you guys want him to get to, double-digit touches per game? And that's just from scrimmage, right? That's not even counting special teams?
I mean, he's the most electric offensive player Nebraska's had since fill in the blank. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you could say Palmer, but I think even more, he's more versatile than Palmer is. Like DPE, Wandale, I don't know. But you should treat him, my opinion is, you should treat him like the Colorado offense treated Travis Hill last year. And I'm not saying
Travis Hunter,
Travis Hill, the former defensive back for Nebraska from the 90s. Travis Hunter last year. And I'm not saying that he's the same quality as Travis Hunter, but like Josh, they found every freaking way. They knew that Shedeur was going to get killed on a whole bunch of plays, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They talk about a team that tried to scheme around an offensive line that couldn't pass block and a quarterback who wouldn't throw it away. Like, you kind of have a template there to some degree. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I mean, figure out how to get him the ball like Colorado tried to figure out how to get Travis Hunter the ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. We spent so much time talking about Emmett Johnson touches and like what that number needs to be. And is it too high? Is it too low? And Ja'Cory Barney is easily the most dynamic player on offense. I think that they are using him better this year than they did last year because he's not, he's finally picking up yards on his catches, which is nice because his yards per catch last season infuriated me. It should have been way higher because they weren't giving him the ball in advantageous opportunities. That said, they are not using him in the run game, and that was one of the areas where Nebraska was very successful last year. That was one of the few areas where they were successful last year.
When the first time I started to see him run and be like, holy crap, this guy's electric, those are the plays you saw it on.
Yeah.
On some of those. And he had a couple that were called back where he had touchdowns and he had some
Colorado.
Yeah, he had like some really good ones. And you want something that's going to get a defensive end thinking that's going to think an edge player thinking, oh no, I gotta make sure, right, I have contain on this one and I can't go hard upfield right away. Start doing some motion with him, fake it, give it to him, whatever, even if it doesn't get big gains. Again, you got to get those eyes in the backfield a little bit for these guys and burn them if they're going hard upfield and realizing there could be something coming around them or over the top of their head or that sort of thing. And Ja'Cory Barney's a great person to do that. So I hope they do find more ways to get him the ball, to be honest. By the way, I think you can't afford not to.
I'm looking at his numbers right now. So last year, 55 catches, 447 yards. That was 8.1 yards a catch. Not enough for a player of his.
No.
Okay, you ready for this, Jack? 23 catches for 348 yards this year. He is averaging 15.1 yards a catch. He has almost doubled his yards per catch. He has 3 receiving touchdowns. He had 0 last year. Dude, I mean, I don't think he will have over 100 yards today, but if he has 100 yards, he will surpass the number of yards he had in all totality last year, and he will do it in half of the games. But he had 10 carries for 130 yards last year and 3 touchdowns, 13 yards a carry, 1 carry for 7 yards.
1 carry. Year. I thought it was 2.
1 carry for 7 yards. I wonder if one of them got called back on a hold.
And they might. And there's also that weird thing when they kind of do it in the background. There's a unclear line between a carry and a short pass or a shovel pass.
Correct.
That could play into some of these too. But I don't know. I think he is. I don't think he can be overused in terms of, obviously you don't want him to get hurt, but also to go back to something else you said. Like, I don't know when it's going to be, but like. I would bet a lot that he's going to run a punt back this year at some point for a touchdown.
I mean, he did last week.
He did. Thanks, Carter.
Yeah. But I'm with you that he's going to run one back and it's going to count. He's getting too close to not have one of these things.
Do you remember at the beginning of the year, he was like, I'm going to lead the nation in punt returns. And I'm like, dude, okay.
What are we talking about here?
I want to back that off a little bit. If he had that punt return, I wonder how close he is to number 1 in the nation.
That's a good question. I'll pull it up real fast because, I think
he's in the top 10. I would assume he's in the top 10 so far.
All right, let's see. Punt returns. Where is that at? All right, here we go. All right, I'm looking at total yards. So right now, wow, Jack, he is at 5th in the country.
Yep.
He's 100 yards off the leader.
Dude, he would have been.
It was like 8. That was an 80-yard return.
He would have been in the top 3,
really
probably.
Close. Wow. Oh my god.
Dude, he freaking. I mean, if he starts getting some big ones, he might freaking call his shot. Like,
that would be nuts. Because that was one of those things where we were like, are you serious, bro?
I was like, okay, that's a little, man, that's badass. If he does that, who does that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, a team that hasn't had more than 100 punt return yards for a decade. I don't know how much I'm exaggerating when I say that. A little, but not much.
Dude, I think I'm pretty sure they have now surpassed the number of yards they had in the last 2 seasons combined. And it's 5
to come out and be
season.
like, yep, I'm leading the nation in punt return yards this year. And he's on pace to perhaps do that.
Hey, Brigard Easy says, I brought this up last week. Could he win the Jet? I mean, he's got to get a touchdown.
If he gets a touchdown, he'll be on. Yeah.
But yeah, you get a couple of those, and it is suddenly a very different conversation. Right now, the leading returner in terms of punt return touchdowns is Vakari Swain from South Carolina. He has 3. So he's got a little bit to go. But if you can combine a ton of yards and a couple, he probably would need 2 touchdowns. So we even need 2 touchdowns in the final 7 games. Then yeah, he's very much going to be in the conversation.
And Josh, you know what else helps the likelihood of that? Jameer Khan blocking that punt.
Yeah, because then it's like, crap, we got to do max protect. That's an excellent point.
They've been close on maybe 4 of them this year. There was one against Houston Christian. I swear he kicked it under. I can't remember who it was. He kicked it under the guy who was trying to block it, who was too high.
Yeah.
They've been close, and I think teams have to, because right now you look at Nebraska's punt team, and your first thought isn't even Ja'Cory Barney, or punt return team, and your first thought probably isn't even Ja'Cory Barney. It's shit, we can't get this blocked. If he gets 30 yards on the return, okay, but we can't have Carter Nelson picking up a ball for another touchdown. And so,
wild.
If you can't even prioritize one of the best punt returners in the nation, that's what a great punt return, punt block team does.
Incredible.
It's unbelievable.
By the way, Fight has the stats. 2025, first 5 games, 238 punt return yards for Nebraska. 2021 to 2024, 49 games, 225 yards. Nebraska has more return yards in 5 games than they had in the previous 49 games.
It's unreal. That's wild, unreal. Dave.
Yeah. God,
that's
that is nuts.
Freaking wild. So I can't wait. Like, I'm so looking forward to when they get on the field with punts. You know, and again, it does remind you, hate to say it, but it does remind you of watching Iowa, especially they got that Weegan guy back there, and then before they had what's his name, the cornerback for the Eagles, and like
Cooper DeJean.
They could take, it felt like every time you were watching them, they were taking a punt back for a huge gain.
Yeah.
And I'm sure getting blocks too. So
correct. Yeah. Well, somebody said it a couple moments ago. Adam, can you imagine if we out special teams Iowa this year? Like that for the first time, Jack, in since the Bo era, we honestly, since Bo's last game, when DeMornay Pearsonell had a return for a touchdown, where Nebraska did a lot of good things. They might have had a punt blocked in that game. We're going to talk about them maybe having, at the very least, it won't be an advantage for Iowa. Maybe it would be an even Steven on both sides.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd like to see, Josh, to would make me feel even a little bit better about special teams is
what's that?
For Nebraska, for Kunanen to get some shots. Listen, I want touchdowns, but I'd love to see Kunanen get some opportunities. QAnon to get some opportunities for, big field goals, important field goals from distance.
Matt Rule mentioned that, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, where he said we probably should have kicked more against Houston Christian and Akron, but he didn't want it to. There's something about kicking field goals when you're up by 50. You feel like an asshole. But he was like, we should have done it.
So instead he had TJ Lateef freaking bomb it down the field.
Like, you should have given him a little bit of practice.
TJ Lateef threw a 70-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter of that game.
It's like, come on, man. Beautiful. Like, give him a little. Yeah, it was nice to get Lateef some work, but I do wish that in some of those moments that they would have kicked a field goal.
But so I still don't know how. I feel like he had that great field goal against Cincinnati. Okay, right? And I'm trying to even remember them all now. He made one last week, but it was very short, wasn't it? Or was it kind of longish? I can't remember. Kunanen.
That was a short one. It was on the right hash, and so it really had to kind of crash across the field. It was at the beginning of the fourth when they finally had the wind at their back.
Where did
that one?
Which one? He missed one against Michigan.
We missed one against Michigan, yeah. And so I think as long as around 40 something.
But again, I was in the end zone, the one that he kicked against Cincinnati, and he absolutely crushed that kick. It looked like one of those, like, dang, that is a perfect kick, and it had 10, 12 more yards that a could have been good from. So I want to see, and I guess the wind last week factored into some of the decisions with that, but I would love to. I don't know that I quite have full confidence in that yet, which it will come up.
Same. It will 100%.
And it's
well,
not
Matt says conspiracy will get his chance at Minnesota for sure. That game always comes down to field goals.
Well, and Iowa. I mean,
heck, I think today, Jack, as we talked about the strengths and weaknesses, it would not surprise me if this is a lower scoring. I picked 24-22 yesterday, Nebraska, so a lower scoring. That's only potentially one field goal, though. But that's kind of the game that I'm thinking. So maybe he has a few opportunities today.
Josh, let's talk about defense a little bit because that's the only side that we haven't talked a ton about yet.
Yeah.
We talked a bit about what Maryland's going to do offensively.
By the way, real quick, there are a couple people in the chat pointing out that Kunanen hit a 52-yarder against Cincinnati. So I'd forgotten about that as well.
Well, that was the one I was talking about. I was in the end zone. Okay. I talked about that one. I didn't know how long it was, but it would have been good from 55. It was 52. It would have been good from 55 at least, maybe 57.
Yeah, he crushed it.
I was like, even with the goalpost, I saw it, and it was not coming down and in. It was coming in like a freaking bullet. It was a great kick. Okay.
Defense.
I have been of the opinion, while I am still very, very worried and don't know exactly what they're going to do outside of scheme around the offensive line issues or pass protection issues, I have been of the opinion, and I think last week bore it out, that the defense is going to get better as the year goes on up in the front seven, because I just think I think you've got so much new on that defense, from the scheme to transfers that have come in to kind of figuring out who can do their roles and who can't. I fully expect this defense to look, and it started to do that, but to look better at the end of the year than it has at the beginning. And I think we started to see that last week. Like Javen Wright, I mean, how many times were you like, oh my gosh, Javen Wright they got him open up to make a ton of plays. I thought, Keona Davis, you saw a little bit more from him, I thought, last week as well. Cam Lenhart was even making some plays. Like, where has he been forever? And so I think, especially against these offenses that aren't super dynamic with running backs or quarterbacks who can kill you, I think Nebraska should be able to keep that score down in these games. And that would include the next three offenses that they face.
Jack, I'm happy you said that, because I was just pulling up some numbers real quick to look at some of the next few, not counting today. And, I mean, there's a real nice opportunity, at least in the next two before USC comes into town, to have some solid defensive performances where if Nebraska is going to lose, I think it will probably be because of offense and maybe some of the struggles that they have on that side of the ball with protecting Dylan Raiola. But we talked about it during the game last week. I think you and I were their defense is playing very well camp throughout the game, even as they gave up 27 points because they were put in a couple of shitty situations. I know that there were multiple fourth down conversions by the Spartans, but I really liked what we saw from Nebraska's defense throughout that game, finally getting after the quarterback, not allowing anything in the running game. And there was a good comment from Bigger at Easy a couple moments ago. This is the game we need the secondary to show they are what their stats show. We talked about it earlier.
Amen.
The Malik Washington prop is 230 passing yards or whatever. It's like, wow, that is wild, because Nebraska has not allowed an individual quarterback except for Bryce Underwood to go over 100. He had like 105. Last week, it took till the final, useless drive of the game for the Spartans to hit 100 combined passing yards. And so Aiden Childs wasn't able to reach that number. We know what Sorsby has done, since the week one game. And so that performance continues to age very, very well. And now you're going against a team that doesn't even want to run the football. And so you figure they are going to try to throw the football all around the yard. Jack, I mean, not to do, fetishization for you here on the pod, but if the pass defense is as good as the numbers say they are and Maryland doesn't try to run, like, this could be maybe the best defensive performance they've had all year. Like, that wouldn't surprise me if they were able to do that.
And that's the thing. If they are that good, I'm sorry, I've had a cold, guys. I apologize. I really think the front seven, I think Nwaneri, let me list the guys that I think have room to grow even this year. McCullough, Nwaneri, Keona Davis. I still think Van Poppel is better than he's been playing.
We put Cam Lenhart in there, right? You still put him in there.
Lenhart has, I think, I don't know about him. I'm not sure, But and then I think Javen Wright I think we started to see what Javen Wright can do last week as well. But let's start with Nwaneri and McCullough. These guys are they're the physical studs of this defense. Neither is where they should be with technique and discipline, is what I would say.
Yeah. So like they still have a lot of
McCullough has overrun tackles. McCullough had some issues in that Michigan game when they went on that last drive when they rushed down the field and kept getting third down. He overran some tackles.
Yep.
That said, those guys have the most high, exciting upside.
Athletic freaks.
Those two guys are ridiculous.
Yeah,
like they really are. And I can't imagine them. I just think they're only a little ways up on their potential, is what I would say.
Yeah.
As players,
for sure.
And that might manifest itself, frankly, more next year.
I was going to say, look, I think they've already gotten free money with Williams Nwaneri this season. I was not expecting this. He was a guy. Go back to all of our conversations over the last X amount of months, and Nwaneri was always he's a former 5-star, and he's going to be really good, or he could be good, but it's probably going to be 2026 that we're talking about. And so that has been, like I said, it's been found money for Nebraska in that regard. And then I think McCullough he's just obviously super athletic, and you can see that in how he plays, but he over pursues, as you mentioned, as well. So yeah, you're right, Jack. Like there is certainly a part of this season where you look at the first 4 games in particular and you say, the defense wasn't where, you expect a Matt Rule defense to be, but maybe by late October, early November. I mean, here's the thing, Jack. Like, again, given the opponents that they have the next few weeks, some opportunity to continue to find themselves on that side of the ball before the Trojans come into town, because that will be the best offense that they see all year long.
Yes.
At least in the regular season, the best coaching offense, the best skill player, like all of those things, USC is going to have them. And so this is a nice little stretch where it allows you to work out some of the issues that you have had so far, get better. And, hopefully your offense takes care of business on the other side of the ball, too.
Why do you think they're working Dawson Merritt in? Same exact thing.
Yeah.
He is definitely not perfect by any means yet, but they're excited about him. And I can see why. See why they feel that way, but he's got a ways to go. Pet Shock working in. Same thing, completely young, not playing a whole ton. Keona Davis put him in that group as well. The whole Shavers. I would even say Shavers, right? But
yes.
Almost every single one of those guys, you've seen some real glimpses of what the ceiling could look like for them. It's just how much can they get toward that this year. But if they all stick around, now, of course, they're going to have to do a whole bunch of restructuring in the defensive backfield because all those guys are 37 years old. But they've got a good base at the beginning. And let me just say this about the secondary again, because I need to do a mea culpa about the secondary. All summer I said, Josh, well, the secondary, if one thing, it's experienced, because I always said we know who they are. We don't know who the front 7 are. So we know who the secondary are. And what the secondary is that they're solid, but none of them are going to be all conference players, right? We know who they all are. Well, they're in all college, all American secondary as a unit. And I didn't see
They've been
that
amazing.
coming.
I didn't
see
either.
That coming.
Because they were weak. I mean, in a way, Jack, they were a weakness last year, and the new defensive coordinator is their position coach. And so I remember thinking, like, okay, like, let's see what happens. And the way that they have
what happened? What did happen?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, like, first of all, Sierra Wright, I know he's not a sophomore, but there's no year 2 slump with this guy at Nebraska at all. He has been locked down. We barely even talk about him during these games because they're not throwing his way.
That seemed like such a freaking novelty transfer to get when they got him with his backstory from USC. It seemed like, okay, this is a guy we'll be like, hey, remember when they had that guy on the team and he faded away? And no, not at all. Singleton gets this extra year and you're like, well, I guess he might take it. Singleton's been great. Big Ten Player of the Week last week, as was appropriately said, because he had 2 of the easiest interceptions in history. But he's been tackling. He has been a run stopper this year. And then Ant Marshall comes in from Idaho, and he's really solid. And Donovan Jones, who freaking knew I know we saw him at the bowl, but who knew Donovan Jones from Omaha was going to come in?
I know.
And play like he does.
Yeah.
And this is all without Hartzog, who, he's had his problems. He's had his high moments, but he's been the biggest ball hawk over the years of any of those guys. And he hasn't even been playing.
It's been incredibly impressive. And this is another opportunity against a team like this, Jack, to see because
if they prove it again, I hope they do, because and I'll be dead wrong about them, because I did that whole Emmett Johnson, they're fine thing with them.
They're fine.
If they can keep proving this, like at some point you've got to ask the question, just because you're curious, how in the hell did they do this with this defensive backfield that did not significantly change personnel? And you've got all of these old grizzled million starts between them, veterans out there, Buford, and then you're bringing in Rex Guthrie all the time, who nobody was talking about playing in August.
Absolutely not. Yeah, he was not a guy that we were bringing up in our previews of that position.
I would. On August 13th, I was like, I think this Rex Guthrie, this white guy from Colorado that I keep thinking is Phillip Bland, is going to be a huge factor in the secondary this year.
Yeah, D'Lo says need to see it versus better passing teams. And
yeah, 100.
So just USC, maybe not an issue, but that's the thing. If you think they're taking advantage of a schedule, it's like, all right, that's fine. Look at the rest of their schedule. It's not like a bunch of great passing teams are on the docket. Maybe USC takes advantage, and maybe the pass defense is not number one, but it's like top 15, or they just feast on shitty competition. If that's the case, Jack. Oh, well, because they're going to get a chance to play. Are you worried about Drew Aller throwing the ball around on you? I certainly am not.
I mean, dude, Nico looked freaking awesome against Penn State.
Nico does have talent. That's a good point. He does have talent, even though they have been such a shit show throughout.
That was interesting to see in that game, and I was just kind of watching it over the top of my computer, and I know we got to get to these other segments, but this has been a great discussion today. It's been a great discussion today. I was watching on this TV up here while I watched Michigan State here, and there were like 3 or 4 times, Josh, which I don't do very much often, and I was like, that was a freaking bullet great throw by Nico. Like, it looked awesome out of his arm with Nico a couple of times. So finally,
he does have the talent. He does have the talent.
Yep. All right, let's do the Bod.Coach of the Week.
Yeah, let's get to it. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, by the way. This is the I-80 Club. If you stumbled upon us in your YouTube algorithm or maybe on social media earlier today, we do this each and every week here in the I-80 Club. He's Jack Mitchell. I'm Josh Peterson. We've been reading comments from our subscribers. Patreon.com/I-80 Club if you would like to join us there, or drop us a super on YouTube. We have a few segments that we get to each and every week. We normally get to this one a little bit earlier, but we were just going so deep into the preview. Jack, you mentioned it at the start of the pod. Obviously it's Donovan Raiola this week, the Bod.Coach Coach of the Week. Again, go to Bod.Coach/I-80 Club. You can get 10% off. Jack, we've been talking about the offensive line throughout the week. And look, the usual caveat, sacks aren't just on them. They're also on Dylan Raiola. But this is a coach that we have not talked about in this segment yet this year, and they are coming off of certainly their worst 2 performances in a row. I would say their worst performance, last week, sucked, and now Nebraska is up to 15 sacks allowed on the year, and all 15, by the way, have come against power competition. I believe it was 3 against Cincinnati, 7 against Michigan, and then 5 against Michigan State. So they got to do a better job of protecting Dylan, and some of this is going to, of course, come down to him and play calling and how they decide to move him in and around the pocket.
Yes, I would say Holgerson would be my number 2 on this, but yes, Josh texted me. He was like, well, who should be the Bod.Coach of the Week? And I was like, we both agree. We know who it is, right? Yeah. And we did. We were both on the same page with Raiola on this. By the way, go to, as Josh said, go to Bod.Coach/I-80 Club, 10% off. I've been using Bod.Coach. I have been really impressed by the whole thing as someone oftentimes who sometimes just didn't work out because, look, number one, didn't feel like it, but a lot of times also you just don't know exactly what you should be doing depending on what your physical situation, age, injury, equipment that you have, whether you're at a gym, whether you're at home, whether you have 0 equipment. Bod.Coach will figure out what you can do with what you have. It'll make you a schedule based on what you want to do. One of the things I did with it, Josh, it was nice the other day, and I had an indoor cardio workout. I was like, hey, can we change this to going outside and doing it? And so it said, yeah, let's do this. Can you find an area that's a little bit hilly here and let's do this. And so it transformed the whole workout into an outdoor workout like that for me. So it's really cool. You interface with it through text, and I've really found it useful and enjoyable. So I think a lot of you will too if you want to try it out. So
try it out today, and again, you can get 10% off of your order. I will say this too, Jack, going back to just talking about the line real quick as we finish up this segment and get ready for the Saturday flight. There was a question from Dave Fight, or no, who was it? Oh, Jim and O'Neill. Who will the tackles be?
Oh, yeah.
Today?
Is there any more on that?
No, there's been a lot of chatter behind the scenes about Elijah Pritchett. That's why, if you were wondering, hey, why did the media on Thursday ask Matt Rule like 3 times about injuries? There's been some chatter about Elijah Pritchett and his availability for today. I am a bit dubious, but I have been, led astray before. But I am worried about his availability today. I am worried about his availability today. And not for an off-the-field issue. This is an injury on the field.
Good Lord. For once he gets his crap together and he gets injured. Yeah. If that's the case, that sucks for him. That said, if you heard that, if that were true, like Pritchett can't play, like how much worse does that make you feel about things?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
Everyone's been so inconsistent that I'm just like, I don't know. I guess we'll see. That, Huss has a promo worked last week. If the offensive line plays like special teams last week, this will be a bloodbath.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was wondering, has every Bod.Coach coach of the week hit a home run from the beginning?
Who did we do for the Michigan game? That was the defensive line. So no, that was right. Was that the defense? Braden?
Is that what we did on that one? Yeah, you're probably right.
One
of them we did running backs, didn't we? For one of the blowout games.
Yes. Yeah, we did. Oh, we did it for week 2 because we were like, we don't want to see Emmett Johnson. Get him off the damn field. So yeah, that is certainly the area we'll all be watching. JB writes, great show so far this morning, guys. Made my time on the treadmill feel like a breeze. We love to hear that. We love to hear that, Jack.
JB, working out, baby. Good job.
Should we get to the Saturday flight, Jack, for today's games? As always, curated for you by us, the I-80 Club, letting you know in each and every window the games that you should be paying attention to. Jack,
baby.
I told you said, I wish we had a good 11 a.m. game. We got 2 ranked on ranked. One of them, Ohio State at Illinois. Ohio State is sucking the life out of the teams that they are playing so far this year, man. They have been so impressive, and they go on the road to Champaign. Champaign, a big noon game for the second time in 3 weeks. They won the wild one against the Trojans a couple of weeks ago. They're 2 touchdown dogs today. Jack, I just find this one difficult for Illinois today. I find this one very, very difficult.
Me too. That Indiana game is going to stick in my craw for a long time.
Yeah? Why? Why is that?
Well, in terms of how I conceive of Illinois' ceiling, right? Illinois got blown out by Indiana. You remember?
Yes, I was just wondering why it was sticking in your craw.
Sorry, that might not have been the best way to put it. Stuck in my mind when I think of Illinois' chances in a game like this.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I agree with you entirely. I
was trying to agree with you. Sorry.
You're good. Matt Scarbater says an amazing Matt Patricia defense, just like everyone predicted. I was so wrong on him, man. And look, they're loaded with the best players in the country. They have the best defensive player in the country in Caleb Downs. But still, I am surprised that they have. By the way, not just great, but like this great.
Counter argument. What's their best win?
That is a great counter argument because I would say it's probably Washington. Because the Texas win is not aging very well.
Which, by the way, was close as hell.
Towards the end of the first. Oh wait, you're saying the Texas game? Yes, the Texas game was very close.
Right,
very close.
like that. Yeah, it's not. But here's the thing. Look nearly as good now.
Here's the thing: their schedule, theirs being Ohio State, it's not very tough. I mean, they got Michigan at the end of the year, who owns them, but Penn State has taken a massive step back. I'm with you. I think they take care of business today. Wow. So everything else.
Toughest match might be Nebraska in the Big Ten championship game at this point.
We're all saying it. We're all getting ready for that. Other game at 11 a.m. I think this will be the main TV game for yours truly. Bama at Missouri. Tied, a short road favorite. They've really come on strong. Of course, they had the win over Georgia a couple weeks ago. They had the nice backdoor cover last week against Vanderbilt. And now they're going on the road at Missouri. And, Jack, you want to talk about a team that I don't really know a whole lot about. Missouri, I watched a lot of the game against Kansas. They beat South Carolina. They feel like a paper tiger, pun intended.
Well,
and they always do over the last couple of years with their schedule. It has broken out very easy for Missouri in recent years.
Now they got the Penn State quarterback transfer, and they arguably have the best running back in arguably have the best running back in the nation right now. I mean, you might probably put him and Justice Haynes in that conversation.
Dude, and he is breaking so many tackles. Like, his yards
so
after contact is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a different style of runner than Haynes is. But those are the two most impressive backs I've seen so far this year. And so, I still don't know about that Alabama defense is the only thing. It's hard.
Well, you can run on him.
I feel like we're supposed to flush that Florida State game, but it's a little hard still.
Yeah, look at what Georgia did. They moved the ball on them.
And Vanderbilt did too. I mean,
yeah.
Look, it was Pavia had his problems throwing really against them. I mean, he hurt them in that game to some degree. So
yeah,
I don't know if I think I still have Alabama, but it's not going to be a typical Alabama. This is no longer Alabama blowing people out every weekend.
Definitely,
that's done.
Couple other games for you. ESPN Pitt at Florida State as Florida State tries to get up off the mat. 2 straight losses for the Noles. UCF at Cincinnati. I mean, I imagine we'll all be paying attention to that one around here, Jack, given
I think we all know
characters involved.
I think we all know what I want to happen in that game.
Jack, Big Scott Frost guy's rooting for UCF. BTN has a former opponent, Michigan State, a future opponent, UCLA. This one is in East Lansing.
This is like, okay, is the UCLA thing just 1 week, or is this real for the rest of the season?
Well, now they got to go all the way across the country, so good luck to you, UCLA. Good luck to you. This will be tough for them.
By the way, traveling across the country for games is not new. Can we put that away?
Well, it is in conferences. In conferences, it's new.
Whatever. I mean, like,
all right. Jack thinks it's overblown.
It is 100%.
I don't think it is. We saw a lot of weird-ass upsets last year because of the cross-country stuff. So I think
when Nebraska went and played in New Jersey in 1994 for the first game of the year, we're like, well, it's quite a travel situation for Nebraska.
That was the 1994 Nebraska. They were the national champions. We're talking about when everything is kind of even, travel matters.
And by the way, travel is way easier now. Did you hear Matt Rule talk about travel? They bring their own freaking chef. They bring their own. The players might not even know they're on the road at some point.
That is pretty wild that their chefs flew out earlier in the week. That is incredible.
I mean, come on.
I want a chef. The CW, Stanford at SMU, SEC Network. I said Washington at Ole Miss. This is Washington State at Ole Miss. That is
Ole Miss could score 100 in that game.
The point spread is like 35 points. Of course, in the mid-afternoon window, we will be watching Nebraska at Maryland. That is on Big Ten Network. Jack, I had a chance, John and I did, to speak with Jake Butt, who is doing the analyst work on today's broadcast. If he is as good on the air as he was a guest,
I heard that interview.
He was an incredible guest.
I loved his man. That dude, he knows his football, right?
Yes,
man.
He does.
Knows his Big Ten player. He dropped what did I hear him say during that interview? He was like, "Yeah, I'm excited for the future of Carter Nelson." He picked up 2 guys on the roster. And talked about
he likes Lyndon Meyer and he likes Carter Nelson.
Yeah, but Carter Nelson for the future. And he mentioned some other deep cut on the roster that I was like, dang. Yeah. Like, your stuff. He was great. I really enjoyed that interview.
Thank you. He was fun to talk to. I'm going to try him for the football show later this year. Of course, this is the part of the day that blows. The game that I want to watch the most is on at the same time. Indiana at Oregon on CBS. My second or third favorite rivalry in college football, Jack, is also on at the same time, Oklahoma at Texas. Or not Oklahoma at Texas. Oklahoma versus Texas from the Cotton Bowl.
Texas is ranked, too. You miss a
No, they are not ranked.
They're unranked?
They are unranked. Them and Penn State have both fallen out. The first time ever that the top 2 teams in the preseason poll were not ranked.
Sorry, my bad.
Nope, you're good. I don't know what the hell to expect here. Do you think Mateer is going to play, and do you think he is going to play a lot?
Well, the only thing I had heard about is what Bishop told me, so he's not the greatest inside Oklahoma source, but he said that
he was texting Barry Trammell.
He told me that he thinks Mateer is going to play, and so that certainly changes it. But this feels like, this has everything that feels like Texas bouncing back in it.
It does, doesn't it? I picked Oklahoma. I felt gross picking Oklahoma on the show yesterday because this rivalry is weird. Like, Jack, this is truly one of the throw the record book out. The weird shit happens in the Red River Shootout every single year. Also at 2:30 on Fox, TCU at Kansas State. Kansas State, God, it's crazy how bad they are this year. But they've lost every game by 1 score. Iowa State at Colorado. The Clones, a short road favorite as the Deion Sanders era probably is coming to an end, Jack. Peacock has NC State at number 16 Notre Dame. And I guess if you are just a gross person, you could turn it to Fox Sports 1 and watch Northwestern at Penn State. Yuck. I will not be watching that game today. Yeah. No, thank you. Ugh. Jack won't either, I don't think. The night window, Michigan at USC. Jack, like, in a day that is filled with awesome matchups, this one has flown way under the radar. I cannot wait to watch it. We asked the question on the Grum yesterday, who are you rooting for? You said USC, right? You'd rather the future opponent have a better record? Is that what it was?
My heart wants Michigan. My head wants USC.
Yeah. I think USC is better. If you want the ranked thing to end for Matt Rule, you want USC to win because then USC is most likely to be ranked by the time Nebraska.
If you want Nebraska, listen. If you want, let's say this. This is a funny way to look at it, and sorry, I'm going to say it this way, but what's better for Nebraska's playoff chances?
USC.
USC looking better or Michigan looking better?
USC because you play them in the future, and so you want to pick up a ranked win. USC wins this week. They beat Notre Dame, and they're suddenly inside the top 20, and that would be really, really good for you. Back to the night window. Georgia at Auburn on ABC. Jack, this is the game that I want to watch the most tonight. Kansas at Texas Tech. I think the Red Raiders are badass. They are awesome this year. Some red zone struggles last week versus Houston, but they're otherwise
it's
really,
kind of
really
a
good.
long. It's kind of a long flight from Kansas to Texas Tech. You probably
I can't believe that you don't think that this is real. It's real in the NFL. Why wouldn't it be real in college football?
Every time 49ers play the Lions, I'm like, well, you got to factor in the travel.
You do.
There's a million games like this every week in the NFL. I've never even thought about it.
Well, you don't read the trades, Jack.
I mean, I guess if you're going cross country, Oregon to Penn State, okay, but like.
Yes.
I mean,
that's what we were just talking about. UCLA is going to Michigan State.
Do you need a map?
That's like 75% across the country.
Can someone get you a map?
That's
Michigan State is not the East Coast.
It's in the Eastern time zone.
That's the length of. Oh my gosh. That's like so many games are like that every week. Are you kidding me?
Exactly, and that's why it's important. That's why it's important.
Well, it's partially because they're just on the road too.
Maybe you're bad at pick'ems for this reason because you never take into account east to west travel or west to east travel. This is unreal. Back to the games. Other ones at night. Florida at Texas A&M. Jack, Texas A&M is 5th. How weird is that? I don't think that they're that good, and yet they're top 5. Iowa at Wisconsin on FS1 if you're a sicko. SEC Network has South Carolina at number LSU. The loser of that game, the fan base is going to be so pissed. But we, of course, Jack, will be on for After Nebraska Football live at 8 o'clock. We would love to have everybody join us for After Nebraska Football. We'll be watching those. I forgot to put the Cubs game in here, but the Cubs game is also going to be tonight. That'll probably be in one of the quad boxes. And then, Jack, we get into the sickos window. Arizona State at Utah on ESPN. San Diego State at Nevada on CBS Sports Network. New Mexico at Boise on FS1. And then Utah State at Hawaii on Spectrum Sportsnet, which is an app. So you got to download that. So that's what we will be watching tonight. Those are the games that we'll be watching tonight.
All right, here we go. I picked Nebraska to win, but now that I'm thinking about the travel thing, you guys make a great point. I don't think they have any chance. So
this is unreal, Jack. I can't believe when you are proven wrong, you just double down over and over and over. So you enjoy your doubling down.
Michigan, the East Coast, Michigan State, Lansing, Michigan.
It's like 75% across the country. It's like 75% of the way across the country. And you don't think it's a big deal.
That's so many games.
Jack, last year, the teams that had to travel.
We're talking about it 10 times more this year than we ever have before.
Well, because we have more data.
Because they don't.
You know what? 10 is coast to coast.
That's why. That's what people don't like. They don't like the expansion of the conferences, and so they're finding a way to talk about it. No one talk. I mean, come on. Most of these, okay, I get it. Fine. If you're playing Portland's NFL team is playing Miami's NFL team or whatever, yeah, I guess that's a lot. Future NFL team. After they get all the fires out. They'll probably have an NFL team.
Adam says Josh thinks we're losing to USA. Travel is too much, or UCLA. Travel is too much to overcome. I did pick Nebraska to lose to UCLA in the preseason, and part of my reasoning was travel. So, yeah, no lie detected there. A reminder again, After Nebraska Football, we are live tonight, 8 o'clock. We would love to see you join us for that one. Send us your finest super chats. Send this link around to all your friends. It's available right now on YouTube. Let them know this is the place to be at 8 o'clock tonight. better and more fun than all of the other post-game shows that will be going on at 8 o'clock tonight. We would love to have you. And also,
definitely more fun.
Definitely more fun. We are way more fun. Also, before the witching hour, Jack's favorite graphic with Matt McMaster and me tomorrow at 9:30 as we get you ready for Week 6 in the NFL. What a graphic, Jack. Look at that great graphic.
And I am deeply considering a little pregame DJ pump-up set today if anybody needs a little extra juice. Yeah.
Wow.
Thinking about it. My family's leaving here to I'm going to be all alone for the game today, so I might do that, turn some games on, spin some tunes. So
are you doing a post-game one too? Are you doing a post-game one?
God, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that.
Uh-oh.
Well, if I do, it'll be between the game and our show.
That is the weirdest time to do a post or a DJ.
I understand. I can't do it after the show now. I got some plans.
This has been, I feel like you and Mike Schaefer have had the busiest falls of anybody that I know.
One of my buddies asked
if weird shit going on.
I don't have weird shit. One of my buddies, so my family's gone, and one of my buddies texted me last night. I haven't seen for a long time, and he asked if I want to watch games tonight. And I was like, I can, but I got to do it after my show that I'm doing. So
do you want to move the post-game show up? I feel bad. Like we're not going to finish until 8 or 9:30. Do you want to move it up?
Wasn't going to ask to, but if
is
you
he
want,
is he going to come? Is he going to?
I told him to come between 9 and I couldn't come over like 9:15, 9:30. So yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll move the show up then a little bit. We're planning this live on.
We don't need to do it at 8 necessarily, except that people might be expecting that. So
yeah. Well, yeah. I guess we have literally said 5 times today. We'll be on at 8. I
was not planning on asking. I was not planning on asking to move it up, although that would be great. But
all right. Well, stay tuned. Maybe we'll move it up an hour so then Jack can hang out with his friend.
I mean, if you move it up 2 hours, I'll do a DJ set then too. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, maybe we'll do a DJ set post-game show at the same time.
Up to you guys. Vote.
The same time.
Say what time you guys want the post-game show.
Why don't you just tell us what time the post-game show should be?
Tell us, right?
All right. We'll see you at some point tonight. And just stay tuned. Turn on notifications on the YouTube page, and we will go from there. By the way, Jack, we normally do not read comments unless it's a super chat. But Michael Severe has this stat. Big Ten teams 10-19 when traveling 2 time zones or more in conference play the last 2 seasons, and 10-19 against the spread. Jack says it's not a big deal. Michael Severe offers facts.
Wait. Is he telling me that home teams win more than road teams?
Oh, get out of here, Jack.
Are you kidding me? Michael, you better double check that. I don't know if that's right.
Get out of here. All right. He's Jack Mitchell. I'm Josh Peterson. Thank you for joining us for our longest Saturday morning coffee show, maybe ever. Thank you. We appreciate you. Patreon.com/ID Club. He's Jack. I'm Josh. We'll be back some point tonight. Stay tuned for an announcement in that regard. Bye-bye.